because a lot of the people that are in the bad situations is because they didn't read their contract. They didn't understand what points were. They didn't understand what a split sheet was, right? So that way, if they being that they didn't understand it, then they said, well, we got jerked. You didn't get jerked. You just didn't give yourself the knowledge to be able to understand what was placed in front of you. They just gave you a situation that you could have said no to and you didn't.
Right.
We kicking it, kicking it, kicking it. We ain't taking no L's. I don't care how they feel. We kicking it, kicking it, kicking it.
What's going on, my people? It's your boy DJ Killa Noise. Of course, you're locked into Kicking It with Killa. And today I have a very special guest with me. He goes by the name of Kevin Sutton.
Yes, sir.
Also known as Official Kev 1122. But I kind of want to go back and talk about the old name that Kev had by the name of Hennessy Kev, right? We cannot skip on that. What's going on, Hennessy Kev?
Yo, I'm doing amazing, brother. Appreciate you, man. It's crazy. I still got Hennessy in the back, and I haven't even opened it. I'm saying a lot of people be shocked. I don't do the Henny anymore. But now, how you feeling? Everything good?
I'm feeling good. So I heard something. I think I heard something that when they were talking, heard you talking about Hennessy Kev and why you dropped the name of his Hennessy Kev, which is probably also the reason why I'm sipping on something, but it's outside of the camera because they're not paying me.
I'll be sipping on something in a couple of days though, so it's all good. It's all good.
Now, we just had a long, intensive talk before recording just now.
Yes.
And I kind of want to revisit some of that because, we hit a lot of key points when we were just kind of sitting here chilling. And I want you to tell the people about the 1122, what the whole significance is behind 1122. Absolutely. Why are you naming the company that? Why are you Kev 1122? Let them know a little something about that.
1122 is the day that my pops passed away. My pops passed away Thanksgiving Day, 1122. And the crazy thing is that, the last conversation that we had, he told me that he was proud of me. He, I told him about my dreams. I told him about my vision, how I wanted to, start a label, get into the music,
Right.
do entertainment, things of that nature. And that's actually the first time that he ever told me that he was proud of me. I had long locks all the way down to my ankles at the time. And I had chopped off the locks. He was like, yo, you look like a businessman. You know what I'm saying? And ironically, that was, one of the last times that was the last time that I seen him. And the last time that I spoke to him, he was just like, yo, bro, I love everything that you're doing. I'm proud of you. And then that was Thanksgiving Eve, and Thanksgiving, he passed away. So instead of, me mourning on that day or me even being sad on that day, I celebrate that day every day when I wear 1122. And 1122 for me, that means legacy. You are what you leave behind for the rest of you, right? So, I have 6 kids. So everything that I do, I leave behind for them. It's like, even if you don't have any children, you have your brothers and sisters, your family members. That's exactly the legacy that you're going to leave behind. It's like exactly what they say, what they say, a Brinks truck doesn't follow a hearse, right? So everything that we do, all of our worldly possessions is going to stay right here. So 1122 is my way of leaving something behind for them, someone them that they don't need to be, mourning. They can actually embrace exactly everything that happens to you and turn tragedy into triumph.
Right. So let's transition into the whole men's health situation that you have going on. Let's dig deep into that. I know you said, that you have something going on with that your wife has something going on along with health and everything. Let's dig deep into that right now.
So really, once again, 1122, what we actually do is we do PR, we do marketing, we do advertising, we do consulting, we do branding with celebrity booking agency, partnerships, and things of that nature. So in regards to 1122, it's a one-stop shop for anything that an entrepreneur or a business would need. One of my partners is, a friend, a confidant is, my brother, Philadelphia Freeway. So a lot of the men's health that you're seeing is on that side of the ball, which is Freedom Thinkers Academy, which is music, health, education, and culture. What you're seeing is him and everything that he's gone through in regards to the health side, with his end-stage renal failure, but actually being on the other side of that, showing that, prevention is better than cure. So, he travels the globe, travels the world, just telling everybody about men's health, how to take care of yourself, how to get routine physicals, things of that nature. On the other side, I didn't mention that how my pops passed away was he had actually a stroke, and he had a heart attack in the middle of Times Square during the Thanksgiving Day parade. Now, ironically enough, my wife's father passed away as well, and she watched him have a heart attack while she was younger. So her company is One Stop Wellness MD, and she does telehealth, but she also does CPR certifications, things of that nature. So it actually tells people how to save a life, before the EMS or the first responders and everybody else comes. And essentially, we are the first responders. We are the first people. So are you going to, throw a phone up and see, and wait for somebody to come? Or are you going to do them, them chest compresses and them 30 breaths? So that's exactly what it is. So anything that in regards to health and mental health, what I align and my company aligns with are things that resonate with me. Things that I've been to, things that I've been through, and that coincides with 1122 and his brand. What I aspire to do is, if it doesn't sit right with me, I'm not going to align with it. So that's why me and my wife are in cohesion and perfect alignment, and the same thing as my brother and me in Philadelphia Freeway.
So I like that. Especially, and we spoke about this, but especially like the learning the CPR, right? And being a community responder, right? Because that means a community responder is like you're kind of helping out your community. If you're there and somebody happens to drop, at least you can be the first person right there until the proper people get there, right? So, and what they're finding right now, studies go that early compressions. So that means if that person is dropped and somebody jumps right on doing the compressions right away, that has significantly increased the possibility of the person surviving. Right?
Exactly.
So that early compressions, as long as you jump on that, and you really don't even have to worry about the mouth-to-mouth portion of things. Just the compressions, right depth, right time, and just being able to do that and pass off back and forth with people near you every 2 minutes until the first responders are proper people get there. That small. You got to think about it, right? Number one, you got to call 911 for the emergency responders, right?
Yep.
By the time you get off the phone with them, that's probably already been 2 minutes.
And depending upon where you are,
depending on where they're coming from,
exactly.
Right? That's that could be another 5 to 10 minutes, depending on where they're coming from, right?
Exactly.
And if this is New York we're talking about or something, then never mind all that traffic you gotta get through just to get there, right? So that early compressions. And then going back,
it saves your life. It's the difference between life and death, right? Exactly. So it's essentially, what are you doing when all of the other things are happening around you? That's why, making sure that, and right now you don't have to do the mouth to mouth. They actually have these things that you can walk around with, that you can put over somebody's mouth, and that you'll be able to blow inside to make sure that, you get those chest compressions and things of that nature, actually the breath inside the lungs. So there's so many things right now that you can get to save somebody's life before the responders come. So what it is that we are the first responders. But nowadays, as a society, we're so used to everybody pulling out their phone, everybody being all nervous. So, what her company does is make sure that you're fully prepared to jump into action before the professionals get there. And that is the difference between saving a life and a life, of course, being succumbed to whatever it is that happened. You do have the ability to do that. So in regards to health, once again, with Freedom Thinkers Academy and Freeway, he's making sure that, you do your routine physicals, you take care of yourself. Maybe it's one less cheeseburger, one less piece of cookie, one less cake. And you make sure that you eating right, you hydrating yourself. And sometimes it could be in your family, us being African-American, we have a risk factor automatically with high blood pressure and diabetes and things of that nature. We already one down. So what can we do to make sure that we can counteract the other two? That's like my mom's always told me, prevention is better than cure, and that's what it's about.
Yes. And like we were saying earlier as well, prevention is definitely better than cure, right? If your grandmoms, your grandmoms, your grandpops, whatever, right, was eating certain type of foods that we now know that are not necessarily the best for us, right? If they're eating those type of foods which are causing the high blood pressures, the diabetes, stuff like that, which in return causes kidney failure and stuff like that, right? I kind of like, yeah, certain things are hereditary, but I like I said, I like
That's
to call
done.
it traditional, right? It's more traditional because traditionally this person cooked that way, so I'm going to cook like how my great grandmom cooked, or like how
Exactly.
my mom cooked, right? That's traditional. So the key is to like I don't know, break the chain, break that
Absolutely.
generational curse, right? You want to
Absolutely.
break that generational curse, and that can actually put you in the right direction of trying to,
Oh,
avoid
certainly.
these situations, right?
I mean, you have the ability to break that curse in your own family, in your own ecosystem, right? So a lot
Hmm.
of times you hear in our community, my mama did it this way, my grandmama did it this way, so I'm gonna do it this way. But you don't have to do that. You can change that. Instead of frying something, you can bake something. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Maybe after you eat, you can go, your entire family can go take a walk. That's how, things get passed down through generations. As you said, Killer, you could break that generational curse yourself and then leave
Yep.
your own legacy, right? So that way, after you, this is how we do it now. Now, it's more healthier versions of you down the line in the family. And they could say, what, my mama did it this way. My grandmama did it this way. And look how we are. We fit, we healthy, we going down in that other trajectory. We don't have to succumb to everything else that they've done in the past because things change. The world changes. The way that food is being injected changes. So maybe the way
Hmm.
that we need to do it now is completely different from what they did back then because that's all they had. They had to cook with what they had available or what people gave them, which is the scraps.
Right.
We as people always make good for whatever,
Yep.
what I mean? Lemons out of lemonade, lemonade out of lemons, and things of that nature.
Gave us
We
scraps.
make
We made it. We
everything.
did you know? Yeah,
Scrappy.
did you know that? I just heard about this. Did you know that that at certain places chitlin is now a delicacy? Did you
Yes.
see that?
Yeah, ain't a delicacy in my home.
No.
That's a delicate knot.
Exactly.
I can see that out my crib. That's it. That is
Don't
not
come
going
in
to
my house
happen.
stinking up the house with all that.
Hell to the no. But I mean, but it's an interesting point, right? So you're gonna give us all of the things that everybody don't want. So us as a culture is gonna say, you know what, we're gonna take that and we're gonna make it to the point where everything that everybody loves. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? That's just what we do as people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We make sure that
Yeah.
we take what we were given and we flip it and we make it our own.
I like that. I like that.
That's sort of
That's crazy.
crazy.
So
Keep me away from the
we talk
chitlins.
about the we talk about the men's health, right? And what Freeway has going on. And to my understanding, you're considered Freeway's operational manager. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. So, mhm.
What does that entail? How did you get that operations title?
So, what in regards to operations manager, I handle all of the day to day that has to do with Freeway. That's everything logistical that
Hmm.
goes before he gets to the stage, and he has to talk about what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's everything from numerous calls, numerous emails, numerous negotiations, making sure that both sides meet and that everything is mutually beneficial. Now, I'm not the
Right.
only person that's involved. Of course, he has, a road manager. There's a publicist. There's other people that's involved in the things that make the train go. But as operations manager, I make sure that as the train is supposed to move, it's moving in the right direction and it's
Right.
showing Freeway in the light that he needs to be shown. Now, once again, he's a legend. He doesn't need to be a manager. He doesn't need to be managed. So I do wear certain hats. A lot of times that can be booking agent, where I'm making sure that he gets paid the right amount to come do the
Right.
show that people love to come see. I can be publicist to make sure that he needs to go on a radio run. So I'm lining everything up, things of that nature. I can also act as road manager as well. So it's
Right.
essentially operations manager does everything that needs to be done to make sure that the artist that you see on the stage looks his absolute best. And I try to do
That's
it,
cool.
and I hate the word try. I aspire to do everything that I can possibly do to make sure that Freeway is shown in the proper light. That's my goal and
Nice.
my intention every time out. That's my brother at
Nice.
the end of the day.
Right. Right. So did you know Free beforehand, or was it more or less just like a business relationship that kind of built into something more? Like, did you know him beforehand, or how did that whole situation come together?
Well, essentially, it's something similar to us. We go back looking like 7 to 10 years now. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in regards to the industry, your network is your net worth. So I've booked Free a couple of times, and I'm managing an artist called Senator 215 at the time, and we were doing a show at A3C, and I'm riding with Son, and I'm like, yo, who should we book to go down to A3C? And Son said, yo, get Free. I said, yo, that's dope. It makes sense. So I booked Free to come down, and when Free came down to A3C, I was telling him how I was managing Son, this, that, and the third. He hopped on stage. He was doing, the infamous record that he does last, What We Do, and he posts on stage, and then him and Son are rocking out. That synergy is there, and then we get back, and then Free put these chains on the table. I'll never forget it. And then Son of the 215 at the time, he was like, yo, I think Free starting the label. We should, we should probably see what's going on. So I said, all right, no doubt, let's see what's up. So I said, knowing, business mind, I'm like, you know what? If I book Free, mutually beneficial. Everything has to be mutually beneficial. If I do something for you, you do something for me. It's a handshake, never a hand up. That's very important. So I was like, if I put money in Free's pocket and I tell him to pull up, I can, he'll come through, he'll get the money, and then we'll be able to present the album the way that, he'll be able to see it. He'll feel good, he'll have money in his pocket, we'll have his attention for a couple hours, let's do it. So we had him come to the studio, we played, I don't know what project it was, it might have been Veterans Day or SON, I really don't remember, but Free loved it. So Free was like, you know what, we about to bring you into the fold, you about to be a freedom thinker. When we left, Free's right-hand man, Clemmy, called Son and was like, yo, Son, who was the dude that was, telling all of us, your stats and who you are and playing the records and stuff like that, who presented? And Son said, that's my manager, Kev. So then Clemmy called me. He was like, yo, let's have another meeting. I came back, and then Clemmy and Free was like, yo, I need you to do exactly what you just did for him, for us. And then that's how Freedom Thinkers Academy and Kev got, that's how we got connected. So it's all Son of the 215 and that brainchild of bringing it to that point, and that's how we are now. So
would you say that your experience, as far as, because obviously you were able to show them what you can do, right? And probably wasn't necessarily intentionally, but I mean, good business is good business, right?
Appreciate
that. So we started off in the beginning, and I'm pretty sure you learned your everything that you're doing now through experience, right? Through trials and tribulation, right? We were talking about this earlier, Mr. Hennessy Kev. You used to rap back in the days, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, see, if you think about it, and 80 to 90% of the people in the industry right now, if you peel the onion all the way back, they was rappers at a certain time, right? And that's where the love of the culture comes from. You was either a rapper, right? You was a DJ, you danced, or you did graffiti. Right. So a lot of times, a lot of people in the game, it comes from the love of just hip hop, the love of music. You know what I'm saying? So I say this in my book, Dreams Don't Work Unless You Do. A lot of the things that I talk about is fail forward. So I've done and made a lot of mistakes in the game, but I've learned from those mistakes that I made. And I say, you know what? I'll never do that again. Right. One thing that I learned from being an artist is that I didn't want to be the person on stage. I love the entertainment industry. I didn't love being an artist. I enjoyed rhyming as an artist. I'm not sure. You used to be an artist as well?
Oh yeah. I used to be an artist. Used to be called Killa Capone, right? Back in the day. This back in the days when everybody was some type of mobster, Capone or Gotti or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I was actually Killa Capone, and what's crazy is I was making beats at that time too, right? So somebody, actually one of my boys, and they wouldn't know this back home where I'm originally from. They were like, "Hey, you making that Killa Noise, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got you, right?" So that name kind of stuck with me. So where I kind of transitioned from a Killa Capone to Killa Noise, and that's how that came. So here's, and I know it's not my interview, but I'm just gonna tell you real quick, right? So what's crazy is I got into the DJing. My older brother, DJ Finesse, he DJ'd, radio stations, everything. I learned, that's my brother. He say what he no filter. Let me tell you that, no filter. It's straight New York Bronx cat, like no filter. Okay, so I used to watch my brother DJ. He used to help him out, pick out records, whatever may be the case. And then when I came out here into Delaware, I fooled around with DJing a little bit. When I moved to Delaware, I realized, like, hey, DJs is not playing the stuff that I need them to play, right? So when I say, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna DJ.
There you go.
And that's how it happened. And I think I got a lot of buzz because I wasn't going for the big mainstream artists. I was going to like, hey, you got buzz around here, right? Let me play your record.
That's dope.
Let me, you know what I'm saying? Oskino, back when he was just doing his street stuff. He Street Property had already been a thing, but Oskino was just dropping his stuff. Hey, let me play some of your stuff. Let me play, you know what I'm saying? Like I was more staying off the mainstream because everybody seemed to be scared at that time. And hip hop started with just playing dope stuff that you heard, man. Like there wasn't a mainstream or this. Yeah, like if it was dope, you played it, right? Exactly. And that's what I tried to go back to. So
and that's dope.
Hey.
That's the funny thing, right? And we're very linear in regards to that, because the reason why I do what it is that I do now is because I didn't have people around me that taught me the game. I didn't have people around me that said, hey, you got to get your ASCAP. Hey, you got to get your BMI. Hey, did you copyright this record? Did you trademark this? I had nobody around me telling these things. I had to fail forward and learn them on my own. So what I aspire to do is to make sure that as I'm moving around and I'm realizing these things, I'm giving everybody the knowledge as I'm going along. So 1122 originally started as a studio to be able to be a one-stop shop for everything. But you didn't want to do marketing, advertising, PR, recording, mixing, mastering, videography. Like I wanted artists to be able to walk into the doors in the studio of 1122 and not have to go anywhere else. And if you needed to get signed and you wanted to get signed, I'm going to give you the tools to make sure that you don't get done dirty. Because a lot of the people that are in the bad situations is because they didn't read their contract. They didn't understand what points were. They didn't understand what a split sheet was, right? So that way, if they didn't understand it, then they said, well, we got jerked. You didn't get jerked. You just didn't give yourself the knowledge to be able to understand what was placed in front of you. They just gave you a situation that you could have said no to and you didn't.
Right.
So that's all it is.
So we got your book. It's already out now, right?
Correct. Dreams don't work unless you do.
And I know that thing is definitely full of knowledge. So let's touch on this. Let's jump on this knowledge real quick. Let's give an advice, what your advice would be for that new upcoming artist and what your advice would be for that artist that's been doing this game for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
So this is crazy, right? So a while ago, somebody asked me that question in regards to how to stay relevant in the game. And, I'm going to save that answer for later because, I kind of paused on that for a minute. But in regards to the upcoming artist, I would say that you can't skip steps, right? Everything is done in a step-by-step motion. A lot of people want to post something on Instagram and feel as if once I post it, I'm going to get 30,000 likes. No, you probably won't get 30,000 likes. You might get 5 to 10, right? But then those 5 to 10 next week might get 10 to 20. Then after that, you might get 20 to 30, right? Those 30 to 45 people, they're very instrumental to your success, right? Because if you can only sell to half of them, maybe 5 people, and those 5 people give you $10, how much is that? Right. So I always say to people, what does success mean to you? Right. Is success like Drake? Is success like, Jay-Z? Or is success being able to pay and feed yourself and your family on what you make from your musical career? Right. So I look at it this way. You can be a bus driver. You can be a mechanic. You can be anything. How much money do you make a year? Let's say it's $40,000, $50,000 a year. Right? If you make $40,000 to $50,000 a year on music and you don't have to punch the clock, which one would you rather do?
So much happier.
Right? You're happier. You know what I'm saying? You wake up, you do what you want, you do what you love, and you get paid. That's what success is. I also say this all the time. How do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time, right? It's a step-by-step progress. The other thing about in regards to new artists, you do have those people that feel as if they're flash in the pans and people happen overnight. Sexy Red, right? Glorilla. You got to remember, those people put thousands and thousands of hours behind the scenes. They went to what is it? Showcases, award shows. They went to mixtapes. They out there freestyling for this person and that person, handing out this CD, that CD to get that one break, that one opportunity to be able to be shown globally and across the world. That did not happen overnight, right? No. So as an artist, don't expect that instant gratification. That thing that automatically something happens and I'm going to blow up because you're hot. No, That's not how this industry works. The other thing is that if you don't have your business intact, if you're not, this is also inside the book, you can't build on quicksand, right? Because once you're building and something comes, then you get sunk down and you got to go all the way back to figure it out, right? You got to have a solid foundation. You got to make sure that everything's copywritten, you have your trademark, everything's locked in. Then you can start building. Because anybody in construction knows if you have a solid foundation, you can build on it, but then you can break it all down and you can build on that foundation again. Right? So as a new artist, just keep going, get your business in order, and make sure that you know that this is not going to happen overnight. And that's how I guarantee you will be successful. It's consistency. Like, unless you're garbage. And even now, let's be honest, garbage music, which is subjective, is taking off too. Because nobody knows what's hot and what's not, right? So as long as you're consistently doing what it is that you do, I'm telling you now, you will be successful. It's not might be, you will be successful.
Hey, there's a fan base for everyone. There's a fan base for everyone,
right?
Yep.
Let's think about the straight business, and I'm gonna get to your other question in a minute, right? In business, it takes about 5 years, right, for you to have a successful business in regards to seeing a return on your investment, right? It's just regular business. But artists think because my music is hot, I'm supposed to be popping in 5 months. It's not how it goes. Now, can it happen? Yes, but it's a small fraction of the time. Small fraction of the time, but it can happen, right? So that's the one thing in regards to the new artists, in regards to the established artists. And that's the reason why, this stumped me, because you have to remain relevant, right? And how I think about relevancy is I think about people like LL Cool J, right? He understands the trends. He understands the markets. He understands where it's going. And he doesn't compromise himself. He doesn't compromise his integrity. And he doesn't do too much to the point where he seems like he's faking, right? So that's how you remain where you are. The other thing is Method Man, right? Same exact thing. He can get on the mic right now. He can kill it. But then he's also in music. He also, has other things going on as well. The other point of that is having multiple streams of income. A lot of artists, if you're just going to rap, what happens if that dries up? What else do you have out there to lean on, right? If you look at 50, right? He knows when to be in front of the camera and when to take his ass off the camera, right? He knows when to kill himself off of Power. If he was still on Power, would Power still be the same? Would he be able to go and handle all these other things? No, he was able to diversify. So as an established artist, you have to know when to say, okay, this is the conduit that took me to get here. And then once I got here, then I can spread my brand out in so many different ways, right? Because what's the hardest thing to do, and we were talking about this earlier, this is why I believe that mental health is important. It's hard to be able to rock 50, 60, 80,000 people. And then after that, God forbid, your record or your song falls off. Now you're going to have to say, do you need fries with that?
What's your
like, you know what I mean? What you going to do? That got to kill your psyche. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but imagine you going on tour and you rocking stadiums of people, and now you're working at a call center somewhere because you didn't handle your finances correctly. And that's nobody else's problem but your own, right? So you got to make sure if you are a one-hit wonder, a flash in the pan, or this, that, and the third, you got to make sure that you manage your own expectations, but then you also manage your finances correctly. Because if you don't, same way you came up is the same way you're going to go down.
See, and that's what I was saying, right? Like with the football or any, athletes for the most part, a lot of them have the opportunity. Now, do they take it? Probably some don't, but a lot of them have the opportunity to get with somebody that can help them out, like a financial advisor, right? That'll say, or anybody. It don't even have to be a financial advisor, but somebody just to kind of guide them in the right direction. Absolutely. To kind of say, like, okay, you got this big check for this 4-year contract or 1 year contract. How about we throw this X amount of money into this so we can make more money off of that, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what I feel almost like the music game is missing in general. Unless you're fortunate enough to be, be the M&Ms and get the game straight from Dr. Dre, right? Or, right? Unless you're fortunate enough to be or be 50 and get the game from him, right? So, which they passed it down. So
Yep.
unless you're fortunate enough for something like that to happen, that usually doesn't come out with somebody. So
Absolutely
anybody out
not.
there listening, you need to start that business of at least being some type of an advisor for these really
Absolutely.
bigger artists that are coming in the game, so that in a couple years from now, when they're no longer the hot thing, they can at least still have some money that they're sitting on, or at least have their chicken and waffle business, right?
Exactly.
Or something, right?
So,
Something
Killer,
going.
I'm gonna take it a step further, right? So, a
Right.
lot of times, the things that I hate about the game, there's a lot that I can't stand about this industry, but it is what it is. The one thing that I'm gonna say is that there's snakes and leeches, right?
Yes.
There's always somebody that's trying to get something from you. Once you sign that contract, you become a product. But then what happens is that if you don't sign a contract, you're independent. But the independent person, Independence Day, which is coming, the independent person doesn't understand what's going on in the industry, right? So you have one person that's over there that's a product that's getting taken advantage of, and you have another person that's independent that has no clue what the hell they're doing. So it's difficult. The other thing is the people that surround you. You have the same snakes and leeches that surround you on both sides. You have one person on the independent lane that just wants to be in your spot, giving you bad advice, poking holes in the boat on the way to you know what I mean, as you're going in the direction that they're going, got the oar out trying to swim in another direction because they think that they're better than you are. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of those people there. So you have to watch your circle, keep your circle tight. On the other side of the boat, if your record is not doing well, if you're signed, what do? They shelf you or drop you. You feel what I'm saying? So the crazy thing about this industry is that not only do you have to acquire the knowledge for yourself and understand what's going on, but you also got to protect your best interests at the same time, if that makes sense. Because this entire industry, you know, although we love it, although it's good that we can feed ourselves and our family, you know what I mean? I'm sure you're making a good living. Everybody's making a good living doing what it is that they do, right? The knowledge on what goes into it is just as important as what you see right now. And that's what I like to stress to everybody. Nobody knows what you have to go through right now, Killer, to get this podcast and do it every single week, right? Getting the artists to come on, making sure that, you know, all of the tools that you need is in order and working, and then putting it on all the platforms and then marketing and advertising it, and then having the love for it to keep doing it, especially if it's not bringing a return of investment.
Right. That's it's the love for the music. It's something. It's love for the music is something. You know what I'm saying? So this question just popped up in my head. Having the knowledge that you have right now, right? Would you say that it's worth an artist looking to get a major contract, right? A major deal. Is it worth it nowadays for that, right?
That's a loaded question, and the reason why I say that is worth is subjective, right? When you say worth, what's it worth to you? So I'll give you a perfect example. There could be a person right now that's inside the hood. I'm not going to say where. It could be anywhere. That's inside a 1-bedroom apartment with 10 people, right? And they got fire music, and they're struggling on Instagram to get it out, struggling to get it out to the world. They have no means to market and promote themselves. And a label comes and the label tells you, I'm going to give you a $50,000 advance, but I want to own 2 to 3 of your next projects coming out. Do you take that? Right? And you see how you're thinking about it right now. Now, as a person in that situation, the reason why I would take that situation is because what a label is going to do is, which it sounds crazy, but a label is a machine, right? They're going to invest, but then they want a return on their investment. That's what labels are supposed to do. They will invest, they will take from you, they will put you out in the masses, and they want everything back, right? Now, if you have strength and ability in your knowledge, but also ability in your talent, you take that route. You sign a 3 to 4 year deal. You get yourself out of the situation that you're in. After that 3 to 4 year deal, you have the option to renew.
Right.
You have the option to renew. You also negotiate, I want my masters back. You can negotiate that, because now, depending upon how hot you are, you're negotiating with power, right? So that's one example of that, right? Would I take that? Yes, that's a major label. They offer me, I could change myself and my family's life. I'm taking that instead of struggling, trying to find a way. Now let's flip that. You have the same artist, but the artist has a buzz, right? But that artist also has a budget. That budget or investors around them that doesn't want to take from them, but want to feed into them, and then want to be partners, this, that, and the third. It's not the machine. They're just investors, right? There's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, and the labels are coming to you because you're hot already, right? So there's something there. That's why they're sniffing around. Nah, I'm going to leave that alone, because the reason why you're coming to me with $1 million is because I'm probably worth 7. Right? Now, do you say that same exact thing to the person that's living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 10 people? I don't know. Right? So that's why I asked you. And that's why I say that question is so loaded, because it's different situations for different people. $50,000 to that person in the 1-bedroom, 10 people is a lot at the time. It changes a lot at once. And then you can take that 50, peel off 10 of it, and go invest it in another business. So it just takes me back to the very first thing that I just said. It's the knowledge of how to apply something, right? I always say this also in the book. It's knowledge versus wisdom, right? There's two things. Right. You can have the knowledge of something, but wisdom is how you apply the knowledge that you have.
You can have the knowledge of something. Let that ring for a little bit. You can have the knowledge of something, but the wisdom is how you apply that knowledge.
Absolutely. It's how you apply it. You can know everything. Yes. You can know everything. Yes. I can go past these cakes. I love cookies and cake. I say it all the time. I can go past them and know that I shouldn't eat it. Wisdom is not walking in the door and asking for a cupcake.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the wisdom. You know what I mean? I can have the knowledge all day. You know what I mean? That's the wisdom. Walking by that motherfucker. That's a wise man. You see what I'm saying? That's what this entire game is about. And I tell people this all the time. Once again, it's in Dreams Don't Work Unless You Do. I'm going to keep saying it. You know, it's available right now on Amazon. We also have the merch out right now, 11/22. Dreams Don't Work Unless You Do on the back. But what I'm going to say is this, right? A lot of times this game is so logical. It all boils down to logic. But we're in an illogical industry. You're getting exuberant amounts of money being placed in front of you. Thousands and thousands of likes, thousands and thousands of Instagram, you know what I mean, all over the place. Everybody screaming your name, right? Somebody puts a contract in your face. It's a bad contract. You sign it, right? Logic is, did you read it? No, right? That's the logic. Read it. It's very easy. Do I take this deal? No, I don't, because it don't look right. Should I go do this show for less than an amount? No, I shouldn't. Should I go over here and sit down next to a person that could hurt my image but could get me 50,000 more followers? No, you probably shouldn't, because your image is worth more than 50,000 more followers. It's very logical if you think about it. But most people, being that this game is all smoke and mirrors, forget to root themselves in logic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Know your worth and realize what's the end result.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I
like it. So, real quick, I'm gonna hit you with a question. First thing that comes to your head, you got to answer. All right.
You want it?
Favorite rapper?
Ooh, favorite rapper. That's hard.
And that's personal. That it don't. You ain't gotta get political. I don't need no political. Don't sit here and say Freeway just because you work.
No. I need like. It's hard. It's hard to say favorite rapper, right? The reason why is because at this point in time, the way that music is being released and I'm consuming it, it's hard to say that I have a favorite rapper. I could tell you the first rapper that I was a fan of, and that's Slick Rick. I can tell you the people that I listen to. But who I'm listening to right now is, I'm still on that 38 Special, Benny the Butcher, Griselda. I like the Bar Conway, the Machine. Like I'm just a fan of just that essence of the bar work.
Yeah.
But Slick Rick is the person that got me into. It's crazy. I didn't like the Curtis Blows and the ha and all that. I was my friends always make fun of me.
What you mean to tell me you didn't like the?
Nah, I go to the park and I like it. I don't make none of that shit. I didn't like it because it didn't really make sense to me, right? But when I heard Slick Rick and everything from Mona Lisa and all, like, it was all a perfect synergy. It was stories. It was melodies. It was like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, that was the music that that's hip hop. And then Crush Groove just took me out of here. You know what I mean? That's where just to come back full circle to your question, because my phone blowing up, full circle to your question is that's what led me to the business side of things. Yeah. If anybody hasn't watched Crush Groove, and I don't care if I'm dating myself, I got gray hair, so it don't matter. Anybody hasn't watched Crush Groove, you got to take a look at it. You know what I mean? Do your homework. That's where he took the business side of it. He's trying to run a label out of his dorm room, and he's going to put on a showcase to showcase his artists to get signed. That's what's going on right now. You feel what I'm saying? That's what showed me the business side and was like, oh shit, I want to be that. Russ.
So here we go. So and see, you got me shooting off with some more questions in my head. So let's say you approached the new artist, the new young artist.
Yep.
All right. Because sometimes I'll sit down and be like, I'll sit somewhere and be like, hey, Wu-Tang. And they be like, who? And be like, what? You don't know who Wu is? Like, how do you not know who they are? No. So if you were to sit and you grabbed up a young artist and was like, listen, this is your homework assignment. You have to watch this. You have to listen to this.
Oh, wow.
And whatever, right?
Okay.
What would be the 2 or 3 things that you would tell this new artist to do homework-wise, just to learn the history or to be surrounded by the history of this thing that we call hip-hop? This rap music.
I can't do that because there's so many facets. There's so many.
You only got a couple seconds to give them.
There's so many facets. I would say, of course, watch Crush Groove. I would say watch Breaking, right? But then I will also say watch Coolie High. But then I will also say watch Boys in the Hood, watch Menace, right? And the reason why because the reason why is because a lot of rappers are actors, right?
Right.
And to watch Cube, right? Watch Juice. Watch Pac, right? So if you think about Pac was just reenacting Bishop. Now I'm not telling rappers to be actors, but rappers are actors, right? But it also Pac also shows you that you can do other things with this music, right? Then I would tell you to study a person like Dre, right? And see the progression and also what people fail to realize is RZA, right? Study a person like RZA to see where RZA came from to where RZA is now. Is RZA really who RZA is? I'm not going to, dig deep into that. But if you take a look at what RZA's first record is and you listen to what it is now, you know what I mean? You don't know who's who. 2 totally different people, right? But the reason why I'm saying this is because the industry allows you to be whoever the hell you want to be. But then at the end of the day, you still got to go home, look yourself in the mirror and make sure that you are who you want to be.
I like it. Hey, Kev.
Yes, sir.
I'm probably gonna have you come back up on the show another time.
I appreciate you. This is a good conversation. Like we can go on for days. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, that's.
I gotta get this haircut. I gotta go to Essence Fest, man. We got some things going. We got some.
Oh yeah.
Some
I'm gonna have to catch up with you sometime soon too, Kev. Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's do it.
But definitely let them know one more time. The name of the book is called Dreams Don't Work Unless You Do. How do you get that?
Bong, 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 bong. It's 1122. Dreams don't work unless you do. That is the step-by-step guide giving you everything that you need to have to go from a thought to thriving, to go from a thought to be able to get a return on your investment. In the middle is going to let you know whether you have a business or a hobby. If you do have a hobby, it's perfectly fine. It's going to stop you in the middle and tell you have a hobby, right? Start from the beginning, come back when you're ready to have a business, and then you can keep going. That's Dreams Don't Work Unless You Do. We also have a newsletter called the 1122 newsletter. Every single week, I'm out of my mind, but every week, if you want, send me your email address. I send people a newsletter on step-by-step industries and takeaways inside of the game. Everything that we talk about right now, I put it in a weekly newsletter. I also put in that newsletter events of where you should go to, where you can perform industry events. I put industry tips. I put an artist of the week. So every week I'm highlighting a new artist, a new person. I put in there what we're watching, what we're listening to. So I highlighted different music, different movies, things of that nature. That's 1122 newsletter. Also have the merch shop right now, 1122 on the front, 1122 on the back. Dreams don't work unless you do. So right now, everything, outside of Freedom Thinkers Academy and One Stop Wellness is moving and walking within my legacy. So that's the first thing. Second thing is we have the Free Fest, August 2nd, which is Philadelphia Freeway's yearly Free Fest. The other thing that we have right now is the Cash Money Millionaires Tour featuring the Locks and State Property. That's going on right now. Next stop is Cleveland. I have a master class coming up, everything that we talked about. If you want to learn it, you can come into the master class. That's going to be coming to a city near you. And other than that, I'm outside.
There we go. Hey, So we are recording right now and live right now. I'm about to tell you this, that I'm hoping that I'm on the guest list. We're recording now. I just want you to know. I'm on the guest list for that free
What? Oh,
little deal.
absolutely. 1,000%. You on the guest list. You on the guest
There
list.
we
You
go.
there. All you gotta do is call me though, dog. You always on the guest list. That's
That's
it.
what it is. That's what it is. I'm definitely gonna hit you up. I might have to bring the podcast back there and do an interview
See, it's
somebody
documented. I'm
from
in it.
behind the scenes.
Let's get it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm over here getting in trouble. I'm supposed to be gone.
Oh, see, there we go. Hey, I want to thank you for stopping in, my man. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Of course, y'all were locked into Kicking It with Killa. It's your boy DJ Killa Noise. Like, subscribe, hit that button down below. I'm gonna catch y'all next time.
11:22. Dreams don't work unless you do. Let's get it.